This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Foreign national charged with illegal possession of ammunition in St. James. 37-year-old St. Lori Williams of Redberg Drive, Ohio, Missouri in the United States of America was arrested and charged with illegal possession of ammunition following an incident at the Saxor International Airport on Saturday. Reports reaching the news are that about 1:08 p.m., Williams was in the process of boarding a flight home when his luggage was searched at the security checkpoint. During the search, one 9mm round of ammunition was found in the pocket of a knapsack. Williams was subsequently arrested and charged. His court date is being finalized. Pedestrian dies after being hit by bus in Runaway Bay. A pedestrian died Sunday evening after being hit by a vehicle along the Runaway Bay main road in St. Anne. Sometime after 7 o'clock, a bus was heading towards Discovery Bay when the man reportedly walked into its path. The man was dragged for a distance and sustained multiple injuries. He died at the scene. Soldier killed in motor vehicle crash identified. The Jamaica Defense Force soldier who was killed near the gate of Up Park Camp Sunday morning has been identified as a Private Garon Anderson. He died after being hit by a motor vehicle along Camp Road. The police say the motor car was traveling towards a crossroads when the driver reportedly lost the control of the vehicle, which mounted the embankment and then caught fire. It was later discovered that the soldier was lying underneath the car and he was rushed to hospital where he was pronounced dead. The driver escaped the fire through a window. More protests in Western Kingston after soldier kills man. Soldiers have been deployed to sections of Denham Town in West Kingston to remove debris used by residents to block the streets. Angry residents have been protesting Saturday's shooting death of Horine Glenn by a Jamaica Defense Force soldier on Charles Street. The protesters this morning blocked several sections of the community. Investigations are ongoing into the fatal shooting. A relative of the deceased said the soldiers were beating her son when Glenn intervened and was shot dead. "The soldier do him wrong and him should just admit say him wrong," said the aunt who requested anonymity in a news interview on Sunday. The soldiers said they were spat on by the residents and the drinks thrown at them when they tried to accost a resident. They also alleged that Glenn attempted to disarm a soldier when he was shot. The residents staunchly denied all claims. Protests ignited in Denham Town on Sunday as irate residents said old fridges, tires, and debris ablaze on Charles Street, North Street, and the Spanish Town Road, labeling the death as a ruthless attack. Having Teaching Council evaluate teacher performance not practical, says head of Teachers College's lobby group. There's some resistance emerging in response to the proposal for the Jamaica Teaching Council to evaluate the performance of teachers. The Teachers Colleges of Jamaica has responded, saying it is impractical for the council to monitor teachers in more than 1,000 public schools as well as numerous private institutions. Dr. Garth Anderson, Dean of the Teachers Colleges of Jamaica, told the news that evaluation of teachers must be carried out at the local level within schools. Characterizing teacher evaluation as an intimate matter between you and your immediate supervisor, he argued that it was impractical for such an exercise to be carried out centrally. The proposal in the bill was therefore a far overreach, he asserted, stressing that such evaluations must be left at base. The bill to establish the JTC is currently being reviewed by a joint select committee of Parliament. The bill is intended to establish a governing body for the teaching profession and institute a regime for the licensing and the registration of all government-paid teachers.
When we talk about evaluation, that's a very intimate matter. It's between you and your immediate supervisor. I can't see how you stay in a ministry and determine that I'm performing or not performing. So that is just too much that they're taken, at a far overreach in my view and in our view on this particular matter. That must be left at base. It cannot be centralized.
ICE announces new mental health guidelines pertaining to detainees. The United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement has announced the new policies to strengthen protections for detained non-citizen Caribbean and other immigrants with serious mental disorders. The new guidelines focuses on the identification, treatment, and monitoring of this particularly vulnerable population. It provides certain procedural protections to unrepresented detained respondents with serious mental disorders or conditions that may render them incompetent or to represent themselves in immigration proceedings. The new ICE directive includes specific guidelines on identifying, monitoring, and tracking such detainees. It's also aimed at ensuring ICE provides information relevant to an individual's serious mental disorder or condition for an immigration judge to determine whether such persons are competent to represent themselves in removal proceedings. ICE says all persons in its custody generally receive a comprehensive examination from a qualified healthcare professional within 14 days of arrival at detention facility to identify any medical, mental health, or dental conditions. Jury trials are set to resume. After a 2-year break because of the novel coronavirus pandemic, jury trials will resume for the Easter term of the home and rural circuits, which begins on Wednesday. Director of Client Services, Communications and Information at the Court Administration Division, Kadish Fletcher, announced the long-anticipated resumption of jury trials in a letter to the news. Jury trials were suspended on March 2020 when Jamaica recorded its first case of COVID-19. Since then, the courts have made efforts to get jury trials back on track, even sending out notices to jurors, but had to retract given unforeseen spikes in the COVID-19 cases. In the interim, judge-alone trials have gained popularity, with Chief Justice Brian Sykes leading the push for this to become the norm. The issue for me is an efficient justice system. All our processes should be reviewed, and the trial by jury, as important as it is, must be one of them, argued Sykes, to the annoyance of some prominent attorneys who are adamant that trial by jury should remain a feature of Jamaica's justice system. Fletcher noted that a discussion has been ongoing as to the effectiveness of jury trials, but argued that while the debate goes on, the judiciary must get on with the business of the court. The jury system remains a part of our justice system, and on the evidence of the last 2 years, it is the preferred mode of trial by most accused persons, said Fletcher. While that is the case in terms of preference, Jamaicans must recognize that if the jury system is to be effective, it requires the participation of the ordinary Jamaican who makes up the jury pool. It should not be that we want the jury system to remain, but some citizens are reluctant to serve as jurors, added Fletcher. She pointed out that the jury system, which is inherited from British jurisprudence, requires the guilt of an accused person to be determined by a group of people drawn from society. The presumption is that jurors understand the nuisances and the idiosyncrasies of their society and bring to bear on a trial their collective experiences, said Fletcher. She underscored that Jamaicans between the ages of 18 and 70 who are registered voters or have a tax registration number are reminded that they are eligible for selection to serve as a juror. Once employees are summoned for jury duty, they must inform their employers. Informing an employer does not mean the selected juror is seeking permission to serve. Rather, this is done to maintain a good working relationship and to account for the time the employee will be away from work. It also allows employers to plan to ensure minimal impact on their businesses. If employers do not grant time off, or if punitive actions are taken against an employee for serving as a juror, it must be reported to the court, Fletcher pointed out. After an individual is summoned and selected for jury duty, he or she must attend court for the duration of the trial. Failure to show up for jury duty can result in the fine of up to $10,000 if the court was not given prior notice or a reasonable explanation for the absence. People can be exempted from jury service only on the ground of illness or for any other good reason determined by the Chief Justice or presiding judge in the parish to which the application is made. Jurors must not share information about the case with anybody except their fellow jurors who are hearing the same matter, and they should report any threat or act of intimidation to the presiding judge. Jurors also receive a stipend of $2,000 for each day they serve as a juror. If a person is not selected to hear a case, the stipend is not paid pursuant to the Jury Act. Jurors will receive their payment electronically via direct deposit, as the judiciary seeks to ensure that payments are done within a timely manner. Jurors should submit the documents outlined by the court in order to facilitate and expedite payments. The documents, including banking information, are to be submitted by the end of the trial. Fletcher reminded Jamaicans summoned to juror duty that it is their civic duty to serve the justice system and to help others secure justice. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.